My life journey from dancing to coaching via a yoga route. As a young child, I was so passionate about dancing. I used to dance in any wedding or other kinds of parties as soon as I learned stand or walking, even though I was a very shy and introverted child. In fact, even at a very earlier age, as my mom told me that I was born a dancer, because she realized that whenever I started to cry as a newborn baby, and nothing would help stopping me crying, as soon as she put music close to my ears, I would stop crying immediately and start moving my hands happily in dancing pattern. Lucky my mom that had found an awesome and happy way which worked for her as well. One day, when I was around 3, 4 years old, I was asked what I would like to become when I grew up. And without any hesitation, I replied, a dancer on the TV. But my mom, as a religious person, pleaded that wasn't possible, as some men, as audiences, would watch me dancing, which was something forbidden in her beliefs. Then I found the solution straight away. Okay, then I will dance on the radio. Anyway, I was very persistent in my passion that when I was 6 years old, I decided to enter the music and ballet school. Therefore, I had to pass a dancing test, which I did successfully. But sadly, my mom didn't let me enroll in the school for her same limiting belief. So I had to give up on pursuing my passion any further. Then I discovered another true passion, which was drawing, painting, and art in general. Unfortunately, again, I was disappointed later as art in my culture wasn't appreciated as a career. So, to make long story short, for many different reasons, I found myself studying physiotherapy after finishing my high school with the least passion for it. That made my 4 years of university one of the toughest periods of my life. However, when I started working, I found it fulfilling somehow because I loved helping and supporting others. But, and it is a very big but, I felt so drained, frustrated, and depressed as I was trying to solve all patients' problems on my own and found it impossible, of course. Especially, I realized that most of the patients who were mainly from families on low income had very strong resistance to treatment, and in fact, they couldn't take responsibility to recover and feel better because they were too attached to their pain or issues that they were unconsciously too scared to become free of them. Just like a person who spent a very long time in a very dark room and they didn't see light for ages, if they were to be asked to leave the room to go to a brighter place, they would prefer to stay in the dark room with no motivation to get out. Anyway, I felt I was suffering with the patients twice at that time. Once for the patients, as I felt their pains. Secondly, because I felt powerless for not to be able to help them, no matter how hard I tried. So I came to the conclusion that I should stay away from jobs in which I had to help and support people because I was too caring, sensitive, and emotional. Plus, I felt responsible in every way more than the patients themselves. Therefore, after 14 years of working as a therapist, I had to think about changing career. But I have to admit that it was not easy for me to find what I was passionate about. Although I did lots of research, tried career advice many times, did multiple questionnaires, quizzes, etc., I always got contradicting results. However, finally, with the help of a career advisor, I discovered it. It was architecture. As since my childhood, I always have loved art, creativity, and design. Plus, I have critical mind that always seeks deep meanings and reasons for everything. But most importantly, I was unconsciously, at least at the very beginning, looking for a job that was less attached to people's emotions, in which I didn't need to help people and take more responsibility than I should, or at least I assumed that. Surprisingly, and a bit sadly, I couldn't pursue this passion either. As after a year and a half of my study, no matter how many efforts I put to get there, I had to leave because of financial problems. As that student's loan that I was offered, which made studying in the university possible for me again, was stopped for no clear reason. Therefore, I had to think about another passion to follow. Nevertheless, it was very heartbreaking for me, as I had thought for the first time in my life I was able to follow my passion. Anyway, it took me years to get over it and let go, but I failed, or I thought I failed, to find any other passion. Many times after that, I thought I found something I could enjoy, only to find after a short period that it wasn't. Also, I felt I could not trust my feelings anymore, and I was so scared to fail in pursuing my passion, as it had been happening all my life. In the meantime, I was doing lots of work on self development and self discovery. In the past, I was interested in psychology and I had self studied in that field for over 20 years with many benefits and self realization. But then I felt that it had a missing piece, or at least for me. Then I was introduced to the law of attraction that resonated with me so much, and I felt a big shift in my mindset. That led me to the realization that I attracted everything that came to me in my life, no matter how tough and brutal my life was. Therefore, I was able to stop feeling like a victim and I started taking more responsibility for my life instead of trying to take responsibility for others' actions and behaviors. As a matter of fact, practicing meditation afterwards was the best way to embrace the newborn beliefs and worked as the watering and sunshine for growing a blossom. Then my life started to flourish, make sense, have more clarity and trust. However, I was still feeling a big struggle when it came to finding my passion and mission in life. I was trying different things, but nothing sounded fun, joyful, or meaningful. Because for me, as a very authentic person, it was a big pain to not be able to live life through my passion, as love and authenticity are my top core values. But on the other hand, as a single mom with minimum support, I had to pay my bills. So I finally decided to find a temporarily meaningful job until I become inspired for a strong and passionate one that I really feel thrilled about and thrive for. Although a part of me felt that I might have completely lost my passion because of my unsuccessful past experiences. Especially, I had some unsuccessful relationships as well that made me feel that I wasn't capable to enjoy being in any commitment structure. So, I started a new job in childcare as I thought I could indulge myself in caring and taking responsibility of children with less frustration, as children are not able to look after themselves anyway, and they purely and simply appreciate my help. In addition, I got another job that I didn't even ask for. I was contacted by a company to work as an interpreter with NHS. So I accepted the job as I needed it financially. Then, when I started to work, interpreting face to face between patients and doctors, therapists, I found myself really enjoy helping people again. However, I was in a better position there than in my therapy experience because I was not expected to do anything apart from interpreting. I even had to stay very neutral and be careful not to deliver anything more than what the therapist asked me for. And boy, it was one of the best gifts I had from the universe to learn to balance my emotions and to not do more than I have to. So while working for 5 years in this job, I really learned a lot about myself and others, especially that I was a third party observer between patients and therapists. So I was able to watch different types of personalities and study how different people act, behave in different ways that get different results. Therefore, I learned that I create my own reality and attract the kind of audience according to the energy I carry, which reflects on the way I react. It seemed like I learned one of life's important and valuable secrets. So, I started to feel more powerful and confident emotionally, as well as I felt people were more satisfied and grateful around me. Although I felt I enjoyed being kind and caring more than ever because I neither felt insecure nor compelled for being kind. I was caring and kind with putting minimum efforts and getting the maximum results by aligning and connecting with myself first and foremost, that I act naturally and authentically. However, I still believe that there is a missing piece in the health sector which makes patients take less responsibility than they should. Therefore, it makes treatment recovery very hard and slow. So while I was shifting and learning according to law of attraction rules, plus all that I learned through life experiences and knowledge, enhanced with my new experiences that were just as more evidence to reinforce those universal laws, I got another amazing call. Gift from the universe by being introduced to the true yoga healing practice. Although I had a few yoga sessions before that, but it was, in my opinion, harming rather than healing yoga, as it was mostly insisting on brutal stretching and nothing else. So when I found the healing yoga, I recognized the brilliant effects straight away that made my decision to commit to it easy and clear. So I have been practicing it happily and persistently since then for 1 year now, 6 hours a week. Plus, during this period, I just felt that I am in love with yoga and I couldn't imagine my life without it anymore. Sometimes, when I compare yoga with fitness, as a person who has been very active in her whole life and tried different kinds of sport activities, that I usually got bored going to the gym after maximum 1 to 2 months. But I feel that yoga is being kind and caring to my body. As I felt, I experienced a lot of healing over the period of practicing yoga, not only physically but also mentally and emotionally. It tells my body, my mind, and body to get out of its comfort zone gently with acceptance and kindness. Plus, makes me feel responsible and powerful in balancing between stretching and caring, like dancing between these two fundamental aspects of aspects by trusting myself and my feelings that I would never harm myself nor get too lazy and comfortable. It is like meeting at the flow zone where there is a balance between challenges and skills. I cannot say enough how amazing yoga makes me feel. That I think it is one of my most favorite aspects in life. But that is not everything I appreciate immensely in life. It seemed like life is just getting even better for me. When you want to build a puzzle and you are putting all the pieces together, have you noticed that at the beginning of making the puzzle, it seems almost impossible to get it right? Especially if you don't have the picture in front of you. So, the best thing is to find the pieces for the corner and edges first. Then you get the structure that you feel more confident to continue. The more pieces you add, the clearer and easier it gets. Then, when you put the last two pieces, you feel just over the moon as you become overwhelmed with clarity and excitement that make you just want to dance, right? After 1 or 2 months from my yoga practice, I felt mentally and emotionally ready to stretch myself and explore more options. Then, firstly, I met a coach who helped me work on my limiting beliefs. So, surprisingly, I discovered that I had limiting belief towards money, that I absolutely had no idea about it, as it had grown sneakily since my childhood. Therefore, I felt too comfortable with them that couldn't recognize that they were hindering my true potential. However, after practicing some techniques which were made for that purpose, I felt so much relieved and free. Plus, I became braver to push harder and stretch more, so I decided to take more steps forward. Then I found that becoming wealthy is a great motivation for me that I was trying to resist all my life because I was told that wealthy people are bad. Therefore, I had thought I couldn't be good and wealthy at the same time. So I had contradicting feelings that I lived with all my life. Because I knew that I love to have a great life with luxury, plus, I want to feel independent and powerful financially, as well as, of course, to help as many people as I could financially, because helping others is a deep and strong passion for me. But then I had another unclear belief which was telling me that I should be satisfied with what I had and never ask for more. This is probably due to the fact that I grew up in a big and poor family, that it was important for my parents to teach us to ask as less as possible. In addition, they didn't want us to realize that we were poor, so they wouldn't feel guilty and embarrassed as some parents feel towards their kids. Nevertheless, they were trying to hide their suffering hopelessly by pretending that we didn't need more than what we had. In fact, that was where my limiting beliefs towards money came from. Therefore, it was a very big shift with relief for me to find peace and alignment with money, which allowed me for the first time to appreciate money deeply for itself rather than just appreciating what I have. Moving forward with my mindset and shifting my perspective remarkably encouraged me to stretch myself even further. That I felt it was the time to look at my mission in life deeply and truly with less fear than ever. So I thought I would have a look at coaching. I remembered a few years ago, some of my friends told me that I would be a perfect match for a coach, as I have a very caring and compassionate personality. But I resisted to give it a try every time because I had misunderstanding about what coaching is. As a matter of fact, a few years earlier, I had an experience with a coach that I couldn't benefit from properly, that I came to my conclusion, which coaching is about persuading others to do things that they are not aligned with. However, after my new experience with coaching that helped me overcome some of my limiting beliefs with money mainly, I thought to give the coaching a try. So I attended 2 days foundation course in life coaching, and I was shocked that I actually had limiting beliefs towards coaching itself. I was trying to avoid going towards it for two reasons. Firstly, as I knew somehow it would challenge me a lot, which I always found it hard to step out of my comfort zone. Secondly, I didn't want to work very closely and deeply with people at that time, as I knew that I had the tendency of taking too much responsibility and feeling drained. However, when I started to find out more about coaching by attending many other coaching courses, reading many coaching books, as well as watching lots of videos about coaching on YouTube, I realized that all my concerns were nonsense. Actually, I found that coaching is the missing piece that I couldn't find in therapy. Because in coaching, you work with people who have already decided to step out of their comfort zone and they want to take more responsibility to make some changes in their life. However, they want to bring more clarity and determination, which make them take actions flowingly and easily with the help of a coaching service. On the other hand, I felt ready at that moment to deliver support to others by setting my boundaries around how I could distinguish between my responsibility versus others by drawing the fine lines, which enables me to enjoy being caring and supporting without feeling drained or exhausted. Plus, giving the other person the opportunity and the space to take over to explore his or her power in facing life challenges with courage, trust, and determination. Moreover, I have found that what I thought was taking responsibility for others' benefits, while in reality I was trying desperately to control what wasn't under my authority. So no wonder why I couldn't get the results I was looking for. That made me feel frustrated and powerless. Now I realize that I have no control of any outcome outside myself, including other people. Therefore, change will happen when the person is ready for it and welcome it by stepping in whatever takes to get to where they want to be. Only then help and assistance via a coach would be beneficial by working on the mindset first and foremost to bring reflection, clarity, and insight. Then, perhaps shifting in perspective to see things differently and to discover options and solutions. As sometimes the magic happens by just looking at a problem from different perspective to see it as a solution, less in fact. Now that I look back, I feel incredibly amazed about how I learned over the many years of moving in different stages of my life to get out of many of my limiting beliefs, which were blocking the way for me to achieve my truest and highest potential. Of course, there is still a lot to work on. Because I believe as human beings, we are all expanding and stretching as much as we allow that to happen, and amazing things will happen as a result that enable us to become the best version of ourselves in every present moment. However, what truly was so breathtaking for me that as a child I struggled so much as a result of inherited limiting beliefs. However, because of my trust in my abilities and my passion was so great that not only I have never given up, but also I have worked all the way to finally find what truly makes me feel empowered as well as be able to empower others. Finally, I would like to say that what is so fascinating for me is how I reached out to coaching via yoga. Yoga helped me so deeply to overcome all my tightness and disconnectedness, physically, mentally, and emotionally, by accepting where and who I was at that moment. Which means I don't need to be perfect and do things in a perfect way, as I am perfect and enough just the way I am in any moment. Then, to continue the journey of stretching and pushing my limits as a result of a loving and caring perception of myself. Only this approach allowed me to melt my iceberg of resistance and to go with the flow to expand. Nevertheless, I am grateful to every part of my journey as I think every part has played an essential role in who I have become now. Although I could have sped up the process and suffered less if only I had discovered my power in creating my reality from my dreams by addressing my limiting beliefs and working on the mindset instead of focusing on what wasn't going well in the outside, which I had less control on. Not to mention that dancing is still my number one passion, and I still can't resist moving my hands and body in dancing patterns whenever I hear happy music, even when I am on the street, which makes me think perhaps I was a dancer in my past life. But what I really think that the main factor of shifting my life a 180 degrees in the most positive and productive way was taking full responsibility of my destiny, as well as all what happened in the past and present by shifting my mind to solutions rather than being stuck in problems that make me feel as a victim. On the whole, I found that yoga and coaching have lots of similarities in terms of stretching, pushing our limits with awareness and caring about how much is okay by distinguishing the fine line between gentle pain, getting out of our comfort zone, and damaging, alarming pain, knowing our boundaries, but also at the same time being kind and gentle with ourselves by accepting that where we are at any certain moment is okay, considering that we don't need to stay there. As in order to grow and expand, we can always move to another level that makes us feel strong and proud of ourselves to pass as many challenges as possible with joy and peace. So we don't limit our challenge, rather challenge our limits. And through that, we become experts in flowing through life like water in a river, or like a dancer with harmonic movements to the thrilling music of life. Thank you for listening.